Horne here with Brett Dawson and a microphone. After the Thunder's 107-99 win, was it 107-99, Brett?
Correct. Over
the Utah Jazz in Game 5 of this Western Conference first round. Brett, we've seen some crazy Thunder games in our 2 years together on the beat. I was there for Game 6, Western Conference Finals. This one, it goes into the pantheon of crazy Thunder games.
It's the craziest one for me. I mean, it's the craziest one I've had in this 2 years, and probably the craziest thing I've ever seen on a basketball court. 71-46 with, I think it's 8:34 when Jay Crowder makes that three-pointer. A 25-point game. Billy Donovan calls timeout, and we're starting to think about the future and thinking about what exit interviews are going to be like tomorrow. And where
check our timelines. It was you can go on Twitter and see it. We were writing the leads.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was the obituary of the season was well in progress, and then after that timeout, you know, Rudy Gobert picks up his fourth foul. Paul George only actually makes one of two free throws on that. And then Russell Westbrook hits a couple of threes, and then all of a sudden the game has completely turned.
Look, I don't know if this – okay, I do know. This offensive performance from Russell Westbrook and Paul George probably not sustainable for Game 6 or Game 7, particularly the way that they played in Salt Lake City we've seen for the previous two games. But, boy, were they fantastic tonight. I mean, 45 from Russell Westbrook, utterly dominant performance. Paul George was great, attacking Rudy Gobert, relentless going to the rim, just what they needed from their stars in a closeout game.
Yeah, I think they had 54 points in the second half. Russell Westbrook outscored the Jazz over the last 20.5 minutes of the game, which is crazy. It was 33-28 Westbrook over the Jazz. And those guys assisted on all the points they didn't score after the Jazz got that big lead. So just an insane performance, and kind of like even this is beyond your wildest expectations. But when you got Paul George, this is the sort of thing you expected. Those two guys playing off one another, playing great in a big playoff game.
Key storylines in this game, you know, the defensive turnaround in the second half. Rudy Gobert obviously gets in foul trouble. That's when everything flips for the Thunder. He goes out with about 9:30 left in the third quarter. The Thunder rips off 32 points in the last 9:30 of the third quarter to tie the game 78-78 at the end of the third quarter. The momentum completely shifts. You know, a big player in that was a guy who wasn't even out there. Carmelo Anthony wasn't out there for about the last 7 minutes of the third quarter and the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. And the Thunder completely flips the game in those 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, and, you know, and he was upset about it for a time. He had a little bit of an incident with Maurice Cheeks on the bench. Was a little upset. Talked about that. You've talked to him about it afterward. But a guy who was on the floor and made a big impact. You know, Gobert got that fourth foul and actually came back in with 4. He got his 5th in that third quarter and had to leave again because he hit Alex Abrinas. Alex Abrinas played a really big part in this game. Even without making a bunch of shots, he made a huge 3. Probably, I mean, maybe the best two-way sequence of Alex Abrinas' career. He blocks Donovan Mitchell at one end, makes a three-pointer at the other end. But he was a real contributor defensively. He played great. I think he played 16 of his 24 minutes in the second half, and he was really dialed in. And not just like as an individual defender, but their team defense was really locked in, and he was part of it. The rotations, the communication, everything was on point in that stretch.
That seemed to be the overlying theme for the Thunder about the second half. The communication was better. Now, look, whether or not the communication should have been great the entire game, that's not a debate. It should have been. But they corrected themselves in that third quarter where Gobert went out, the communication went up. You know, a lot of guys gave Alex Abrinas credit for following the game plan when it came to Donovan Mitchell, sagging off of him a little bit and allowing that help to help, and not being very tight on Donovan Mitchell. You know, Donovan Mitchell's obviously a very talented player, but, you know, Abrinas himself showed a lot of defensive discipline and, you know, more than we've ever seen from him in a massive situation. I guess, okay.
I guess that's it. We you know, now you gotta do it again. They gotta win another one.
And that was a message from Billy Donovan too. You know, like, I mean, while they played well tonight, they didn't play well the entire game. They still got to play 48-minute games. The Thunder did what the Thunder does. This was a very Thunder-esque game, 2017-18 Thunder-esque game. Game 4, Friday night in Salt Lake City, 9:30 Central, another late one, ESPN.
Game 6.
4, 6, 12? Game 12,
they
Friday.
Go forward, not backward. In game, they count games forward.
Let me get off of this thing.